I was going to wait until later to do my Bitcoin analysis video, but after seeing this like massive volume here, I mean, okay, when you're comparing the volume here to this volume here, it's massive. You know, it's probably 10, 12, 13 times the amount of volume here. So what is going on with this, right? What picture can we paint with this? Well, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this because it's not part of the video, but we've spoken about in other videos that this is smart money down here, and this is right with regards to buying. So people buying down here, smart money. People buying here, smart money. People buying here, you know, kind of clever money. People buying up here, dumb money. So when we see mass volume, right, of selling, and the price moves next to nothing. Look at this, next to nothing. Who is buying this? Massive amounts of selling. That can only be profit taking. But someone's got to be on the other end of that one trade. So who is buying this? Is the buying going to finish here, right? So the question is, when we see this large volume here, who is on the other side of this trade? Well, it's not smart money, because smart money doesn't buy at the top, right? They don't buy at the top. The retail brokers are taking the trade from the retail traders at the top because that's what they've got to do. The market makers have got to add or give liquidity to the market. So when the retail traders come in with their crazy buying power at the top, which is not about economics, because economics says buy low, sell high. It doesn't say buy high, right? It says buy low, sell high. So, and we can see this selling power is just being sucked up by the buying power, right? So this is a big signal here right now, is that anyone, it doesn't matter how much they sell, people are sucking these trades up. Now, I might be wrong in saying this. It might be BlackRock just buying this stuff up constantly, but who's selling it? So if BlackRock is taking up all of the orders, or the ETFs, whatever, are taking up all of the buying power, who is selling right now? So is this institution to institution, or big money to big money, or smart money to smart money right now? Well, if smart money doesn't buy at the top, so someone has got to be buying this right now. And I would say that it's look, the price is not moving. It's staying within inside of this little zone here. It's not moving at all. So what do we reckon is going to happen? At one point, either the buying will stop or the selling will stop. So let's start with buying will stop, okay? Let's come over here and let's make an example. Buying will stop. So if someone is selling here and no one is buying, then it doesn't make sense that the person moves the price up higher, because if no one is buying at this price, no one is definitely going to be buying at higher prices. So you've got to reduce the price down. So question is asked again, is anyone buying? No. Is anyone buying? Is anyone buying? Is anyone buying? Every single time we move it down, that means no one's buying. Is anyone buying? No, 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 no. So the price keeps moving down until it finds a buyer. Now, let's just say that this is the amount of volume of Bitcoin that you want to buy, right? Or want to sell, right? So, and then we've sold some at this point, and now we've got this much left. So our order has not been filled. So we have to keep asking the order book, is anyone else buying? And it says, yeah, I'll buy down here. And we now, so wait a second. So we say we managed to sell some there, and we copy this again, and we go down the order book, and it says, okay, there's some more people buying here. So we've still got a lot of our order there to be filled. So we now copy this, and we come down, and it keeps moving down again, and even more gets sold, and so on. And it keeps moving, it keeps moving down again, and until the final point where some smart money buys it all up. And we see here that the order has been filled down here, right? Yes, there's still a spot there, but it's just indicating that's the order has been filled. So this is the whole point of it, right? Is that there has to be people buying. So the question is here is where are the buyers, right? And we can see that there were buyers in this one zone. So let's just zoom back in again. We can see here that there were lots of buyers in this one zone here. And we can see here, look, lower volume, but lots of price movement because there's no more buyers. The buyers have run out. So the people are selling, but no one's buying right now. The buyers are saying, hey, I'll buy around here, thank you. Look, it's keep them jumping and jumping and jumping, but the volume is nowhere near like this. So the volume is like maybe 1/6 or 1/5 of what that is. And we're seeing some buying action now, but it was just because the candle closed, the 5 minutes closed. So we see the smallest amount of volume here, which means the number of transactions, the number of Bitcoins being passed over. And we see a little bit of buying. So we would expect, but I mean, these boxes are based upon how much price movement there was back up again. So there was lots of selling on this previous candle, but the buying power managed to push it back up with inside that 5 minutes. So we know there is some form of support here, and we saw this already in these candles. It came down and the price moved back up again. So the market has seemed to agreed upon that there are buyers at this one price, right? But there were also buyers in here bringing it back up again, and the sellers and the buyers agreed upon that this was the price at the end of that 5 minutes. And naturally, the buyers and sellers agreed upon that the price should have gone up again. So we're now looking does this have the momentum to break through this one zone here? So once again, we go back to our example, right? If there's sellers in this zone, where are the buyers? Well, we can see there were buyers down here again. So we would expect that if it can break through this one line here, this bottom bit, we would expect there to be big red candles coming through here too, down to this zone. And then we move again into the same thought process, right? But what we do know also is that there is generally lots of buying pressure in this zone. So we would suggest that it would come into this first initial zone, and then it would have to face this bigger zone. So we should see possibly lots of candle wicks at the bottom of this. Now, if it comes down and there is still strong selling pressure, or there's a lack of buying, right? So you can look at it on both sides. If there's strong selling pressure and strong buying pressure at the same price will stay the same, right? It won't move. But if there is a imbalance, and for some reason I forgot that word before, imbalance in the order book, right? It means there's more buyers and there are more sellers than there are buyers. But the buyers are like, no, we're not buying until lower prices. We can see this. Look, I mean, I don't need to be a fortune teller, right? But what we do know is this here, there is an imbalance in price here. The price went up too fast, okay? It just skipped through that order book, especially on a 5 minute here. It just skipped through the order book. And this box here is this bit here, but in reverse, okay? So let's just go over this quickly because this is important. Let's go so far as to actually change the color of it, right? So this was selling, and this is indicating the people. This one is indicating the people who are selling, right? So at the beginning, someone wants to buy Bitcoin, right? But no one is buying. So the price moves up once again, and it went up quickly. Look, it went up pretty quickly to the next candle, okay? And let's just say that we only managed to sell a little bit of it. So the price went up to the next candle, roughly there. And then we managed to sell some of it as well. But there was still more Bitcoin to be sold. So it went up again, and it got sold here. And it went up, it went up again, and it got sold here. And before you know it, people are jumping on the bandwagon here now. People are jumping on the bandwagon here now. And the person who was selling the most, their order is nearly gone, right? But everyone else, all the retail traders, all the breakout traders or whatever, all start jumping on it as well. So you start getting more volume. And let's come over and look at the volume here once again. You can see here, what have we got? What have we got here? There was next to no volume down here, right? this volume compared to this initial volume coming through, there was just a huge spike in volume going up. So there was a lot of transactions. So this could have been created because there was lots of demand for something. Well, we know that because there was lots of buying. But what we do see is there wasn't anyone selling, and that's why the price was moving so fast. There was an imbalance between the buyers and the sellers. The sellers were like, no, not selling. My price is high. You're going to have to move the price up. The order book had to go through the orders to fill them. But there were lots and lots of transactions. So that means that there was more buyers in this situation than there were sellers. There was more Bitcoin required, right, than what was actually being sold. So the price had to move through the order book very, very quickly to fill those orders. So, and now this is another point. If you've got your order and it's good until cancelled, that will mean that you might sell 20% of it first. You might sell another 10% of it, another 5% of it, another 20% of it, another 2% of it, another whatever it is, until the order system or the exchange with a limit order has then basically filled all of your order, right? But it depends whether or not you allowed it to change the price. If you allowed it to go with the price. So in other words, if you wanted to buy, let's say, 1 Bitcoin, but you didn't give it a specific price, right? You just said, fill that order. It would just fly through the order book, filling that 1 Bitcoin. So it would just be like an average price that you would get in the end for it. So you could have bought, let's just to be really, really derived here, you could have put your 1 Bitcoin order in here, and you could have bought the tiniest amount here, and then another bit here, another bit here, then you could have bought all of the rest of it up here. And you were hoping to buy all of it at 62,000, but in actual fact, you bought it all at 63,500 minus the, let's say, 0.1% of it down here. And that is because you just went with a market order. So if you are going to get in, you need to make sure you do a good till cancelled. And that will mean that you fix the price, right? And you say, keep this order open until it's completely filled. And completely filled means that you have sold or bought your Bitcoin at that price in its entirety, okay? So you don't want this fluctuating price. And this is what would have happened here. People have done a market order, and the order book is automated. The order book is just flown through that there to fill it as quick as possible, right? And as efficiently as possible. So now we're seeing, look, nearly no volume here compared to these two, but we're now seeing downward movement. So let's continue with our price analysis, because this is painting a picture now of what we're expecting. Look, no volume compared to this. This is lots of volume compared to this, right? But we're seeing a sell-off, then lots of buying power coming back again, and now lots of sell-off. Like, this is an engulfing. This candle has engulfed nearly all the way. It's engulfed all of the action to its left. So we would expect, what we got, 1 minute 53 left. We would expect to see strength or price action, price movement coming through this now. But we still, I mean, when we overlay like the buying power here, now this wick is buying power, that red is selling power, and so we expect to see it just poke through this, and what it's doing right now. Look, it's weakness. Look, no volume, and it's weakening because it's breaking through. Oh, look, we saw some buying pressure here. So there is some buying pressure. There's enough to push it back up again. And this is all, and there we go. And there's another whole bunch of orders coming through that just skipped it through that spot. And are we going to see this wick back again, right? Are we going to see the buying pressure snap back into this one zone, this red zone here? There's this other smaller red zone. Are we going to see it snap back? So we do see some buying pressure now. So we see this here. Right, this is the fun part. Whoops, this is the fun part, right? We see this buying pressure, and when we look at it, we still see just red. So we don't see huge volume. There isn't a lot of transactions going backwards and forwards. The amount of Bitcoin being bought and sold in total that's being passed over from different traders, different accounts, isn't very big relative to this one here. But we see this is the buying pressure. So the order book has moved the price all the way down. But now we know there's liquidity stuck in here, right? Because if this order book here now, in this one here, is imbalanced, if there were still orders skipped around here, that means there's liquidity stuck inside of this, because they had an order here, but it flicked over their price because it had to fill it as quick as possible. So we see the buying pressure now. Let's move this one up to show where the buy. Whoops, that's not that one. We wanted this one. Let's move this up to show where the buying pressure is. Right, so sorry, my phone just gave a notification. So now we can see that we moved on to the next 5-minute candle, and the price jumped as well. Let's see, it opened here, it closed there. So we had a price jump. Even in that one time, the order book skipped. And now we see this movement, right? Now we're going to see this movement just fly through this candle, I would assuming, all right, because we don't know until the end of the 5 minutes. But right now, there's a battle. There is a balance of agreement between the buyers and the sellers, that they're all saying, okay, this area here is now correct. But are we going to continue to see that? So we can see here that there is selling pressure now here. So this is then a resistance zone against it. So are we going to see a big candle coming down? And I would say the next place that we would see some form of bounce, a wick maybe, a flick back, or whatever you want to call it, a rejection, is on this line, because this whole zone here, in my opinion, is a support zone. This wick here is the support zone. It's like the grandfather of support zones. This was the previous grandfather, and now we've broken through that. Well, we have broken through that, and now we're on this support zone. So how many buyers are there here? And we can see a green candle. Look at that flick backwards and forwards. How much buying pressure is there here now? And this is the way that I see the candles. You know, do you notice I'm not drawing any wedges or any triangle. If I want to draw some triangles, I'll do some trigonometry, I'll do some geometry, right? But here we're doing trading, so I'm not going to be drawing any triangles, right? Because trading is only about, and only about economics, and economics is about buying and selling. It isn't about geometry, right? There is buying pressure. Do you think traders in the stock market are looking at this? No, of course they're not. They're looking at the percentages. They're looking at the areas where they want to buy. They're looking at their averages. How much have I bought and how much have I sold? Because they're not looking at this stuff. They're looking literally of how much profit they've got and how much they still need to buy to keep their average, right? So are we going to see this now tap against this one? Let's get rid of that. Are we going to see this now tap against it or just break through? Is this going to snap back again? So there's still 2 minutes in this. Are we going to see buying pressure to bring it back up? But it broke straight through this one line. So it disagreed with this buying zone here, you know? It skipped straight through. So there wasn't any support here really, because the order book went straight through. Now, if we do see this red candle just snap back up to here, it would suggest that there is strong buying pressure. But at the moment, there's no volume. So we would want to see this red turn to green to show that it's got buying pressure, buying power. But right now, it's weak. You know, you can see this. It's super weak. It's getting even weaker. But there's no volume relative to this one. And you can see it just slipping through the order book because it's got to fill these orders. And we can see some buying pressure here now in this candle. Let's draw a fib line on this. Let's just see how much the 50% line is. So this red line is about the 50. So it's gone through to say, like the 78% of this one candle body. But the buying pressure is coming back. Look at this. There we go. So we got a support zone here now. It seems to be a support zone. Let's just say it's this for the time being, right? just for the people yelling at me going, no, David, it should be green. It should be green. Don't be red. Don't be red. Where's that? Where am I doing now then? Text background. Sorry. There we go. For all those people with OCD, it's green now. It's fine. All right. So we've got some buying pressure here, and we can probably move it up. What we got left? Oh, look at that. 14 seconds. Look at the buying pressure. Pushing it back up again. And what we got? Still red candle. Still red volume, sorry. What are you going to finish on? 3, 2. Are we going to see a jump in price? So this is where we will see. Are we going to see an exact jump in price? We did. There we go. So it moved down and there was buying power. So let's move our support zone here. Now you can see how I think, right? Now you can see where we're trying to find where the support zones are. And we see at the moment that there is buying power above this, right? So if we are talking about they, right? Who are they? If there is someone there saying, well, look, I don't want it coming down to here, right? Because if there were people that are shorted it here, we don't want them getting that money back, right? Because they came down, it came down to here, and there was maybe lots of people shorting it, breaking out. Let's call this the previous. Let's call this previous support line, right? Let's say that when it did come through, there was lots of shorting, or there was more shorting here, and the breakout traders here shorted it again, and it went back up. And remember, if someone's selling here, for them to get out the trade, their stop loss is up here. So they sold here, means they have to buy it back at a loss up here, which was the thing boosting the price up. Now, if someone is someone's buying here, it means someone else is selling here. So the clever money is selling up here, forcing the price back down again. And now there's people buying down here at a cheaper price. So they might have sold up here, and now they're buying it back here, ready for higher prices. Now, this might not be the case, but I would assume, right now, as much as I believe, and I don't want to get into this too much, the price of Bitcoin needs to go down. It has to have a correction, a long-term correction, to say like 50,000 euros. But the buying pressure is just way too strong. This is a super bullish time. And even if there are the bears out there that are going to force the price down, those bears are bullish because they want to force the price down to get cheaper Bitcoin to buy it back up again, for it to then boom up, to then sell it off again. Bears are nothing more than bulls that have something already and they want to sell it, right? And they want it to get cheaper again so they can get in once again, all right? There's the other people who are pessimistic about it, and they always look at the downside and the negative. I look at it as an investment, and can I buy some of it cheaper elsewhere, and where can I get in, and where's the smart money getting in? So we still see, look, nearly no volume. We still see a selling pressure here. And so now we know, let's start dumping some of these, right? Because they're going to get confusing otherwise. So now we see that there is selling pressure here. The price went up, but there was enough selling pressure to keep it down. And it looks like that this support zone, as in the buying power, is maybe weakening or strengthening, but we won't know until the candle finishes. But right now, it seems to be that there's enough buying power to keep this from going down any further, which would mean that anyone that's sold here is locked in, right? So the price, they're only going to be in profit down here. So they're only going to be buying it back down here. So it went up, and then the people sold here again, thinking it's going to go down. They're now locked in. So there's money up here. Their money is now at a loss here. And this is the clever bit. The price then comes down to here, which teases them and teases these even more to say, hey, you're nearly there. It's trying to force them to sell it, or to rebuy it, I'm sorry, because he sold it and they've got to buy it back again at a loss. So, this is the whole point of it, is to try and get these people to buy it back at a loss. And so if they're buying it back at a loss, you're selling it. So you're trying to make the money. And if they sold it here, if the shorts sold it here, someone was buying it here, right? And if you want those short sellers to have to then buy it back up here, it means you're selling it here. So you sold it, you bought it here because someone's selling, and you sold it here making a profit. So you're just making a profit off of the short sellers by keeping the price higher than where they were. So they're always in a negative, right? And I think they call it a delta and a gamma. I think that's the loss is called the gamma. I might be wrong, but it's a delta is a positive, and I think the gamma is the negative when it comes down to market makers and so on. Anyway, so we can see here now that we are on with selling pressure going down, but are we going to get? Let's remove this one. Are we going to get a return in this? Is it going to reverse, or is the pressure going to keep on going, right? Because these long candles, like long candle, they're weakening and they're getting more wicks and stuff. And are we going to see a big candle coming through this zone here? This is the question. Are we going to see a big candle coming through this? I mean, a straight solid candle open and close through this, or are we going to see lots of wicks coming through once again? Because this is the interesting part. I would assume that this candle may wick off this, and I say wick, I mean like bounce off this and then come around here and maybe come back up again, but anything can happen. It's all dependent upon how the order book is at the time. Remember, this is the order book. The price moves. If there's no one selling something or no one buying something, it's got to jump to the next order, right? And if you put in, let's say, a 1 Bitcoin, that's a lot of money, 1 Bitcoin, but you only are going to buy or sell it at that one spot if it's complete, if it's filled in its entirety on the first try, right? Means that if you want to buy Bitcoin at one price, it means someone at a minimum has to be selling exactly 1 Bitcoin or more, and you need to be the only person, right? So it means that when it goes through, your order has to be filled there and then 100%. If you have good until cancelled, that means that, like I said, you might find that you buy or sell at that time 50%. Then another time it hits that price, you sell another 20%. Then another time it hits 10% until your order has been completely filled. That means there's liquidity, right? In that one zone, there's people buying, there's buying pressure, and you can see it in the order book, right? Other people show the order book online, so you can view this type of stuff. But predominantly speaking, you can look at the breadcrumbs, right? There's lots of breadcrumbs all over the place telling you where those orders were and where the people are looking to buy and sell. Now, this is the other thing that we're looking at. If we know that all of the retail traders, right, including me, are sat here going, this is a support zone, because the retail brokers, they have taught you that, and all the books have taught you that this is a support zone, and we are expecting it to tap it, and then go back up again, right? So every single time it taps it, the institutions, the hedge fund managers, the market makers, they are knowing that they have taught you to buy it, and then sell high. So if you're buying, that means they are selling. The retail broker is the one taking your trade from a retail trader. When they buy, it means the retail broker is selling it to them. If a retail trader sells, it means the retail broker is buying it from them. So if you are buying here, that means the retail broker is selling it to you. Now, how are they making any money? It's because they know that you're going to put, maybe, if you're clever, a stop loss down here. So they just need to pump that price down to here to hunt your stop losses, right? Because you bought it here, which means you would sell it here at a loss. If you're a retail trader and you are selling, the retail broker is buying. Right, but this time you have taken a loss. So it meant when you were buying, the retail trader sold it, and when you were having to sell it back, right, the retail trader was buying. So he sold it at a higher price and bought it back and made this profit in between. And then the price moves up because there's so much buying pressure now. The price moves up, and the retail broker is in profit and you're out of profit, and 90 days later you've got no money left, and they keep doing this over and over again. So you need to think to yourself, okay, if the whole world in Twitter or X or whatever and YouTube is all saying buy at 63,888 and 53 cents, then just buy down here, because this is where all the stop losses are. Just buy down here somewhere, and you can see where the imbalance started to be a little bit more balanced. You know, this is the imbalance here. So possibly the stop losses could be here, right? So this is what you've got to think about. And we can see here, there's another. So if we are hunting stop losses here, there's definitely stop losses there, right? So this could be the people's stop losses here. So sorry, they're buying here. This could be the stop losses. And we've just spoke about that. These people's stop losses could be here. So you need to think about where those stop losses are. Anyway, on that note, I think I've painted enough picture about how I see the market going right now. Let's just delete most of this rubbish that I've just put on it. Now let's scroll out and let's have a look at the bit of a bigger picture to see what we see with this. Okay, so on an hourly level, we see once again there's a support there, and we see there is a resistance here, right? We've already discussed that we are assuming that there is some form of imbalance in the order book here. There is a support zone here, right? There's a balance in the order book here. There is kind of a balance in the order book here as well, because the price just went up nice and rationally. It moved up. Everyone agreed upon the price. Maybe there's a little bit of an imbalance here, a little bit of an imbalance in here, and maybe there's definitely imbalance here. So this has for sure an imbalance here. So we would expect prices to come down to this. We would expect prices to come down to this here, and if it did pump through that, we would assume that, but ultimately, I would say that don't ignore this either. Ultimately, I would say this is also the next support zone, and then there's obviously ones here as well, but I would say that this here is the next support zone here. So when you're looking at the market, then we can see here, right? Imbalance in the market we saw here already, right? Look at this. Look at this green candle coming all the way down, right? I mean, it's a huge imbalance there, and some of it has been filled, right? If you come and look at it, let's just draw it here. So let's look at where this is more of a balanced area now. Look, it's come in, and has it balanced it here? I'd say it's balanced it there, and it continued to balance it there. So the order book has been kind of balanced for this bit, okay? So the question is now, what about this bit? This has got to be balanced here too. So all of this is super imbalanced, and the market has got to go back there. Whether you like it or not, you see all of these wicks. Look, this was an imbalance here. Let's bring it across. It definitely wasn't balanced there. It just went in and out again. Half of it was balanced there, and the top bit was balanced there. So we can see that this bottom bit, it zoomed straight through again, but so I would suggest it wasn't balanced. So this bit needs a nice slow movement in all the way down to here and then up again. So there should be maybe a range in this bit. Now, if it isn't balanced and it's going to stay imbalanced, then we would expect it to come down to these areas here once again, right? So there's lots and lots of, and you can test it. Let's test it on here. Let's test it with this one. What do we reckon? It came down, the price came down, and it kind of, it agreed upon that there was money there. There was buying pressure there. It zoomed straight through again. It kind of went through, it bounced on here. So there is some form of agreement that is an area where the price stops. We can see that. We can see a whole bunch of small candles in here, and we can see lots of small volume. It goes backwards and forwards, and the price doesn't change dramatically. So we can see that order book there looks like it's balanced. So we can get rid of it. Let's come and have a look at this one now. Is the order book balanced with this bit? Well, not really. Not really. Pumping candles, pumping candles. Okay, this is a bit better now. This is a bit better now. It looks low volume. It looks kind of balanced. So we would assume that this one is balanced. Now, just keep going and keep going. Like we've talked about this one. There's imbalance there, all right? So this is the way to think about it, right? Is the order book balanced? Because people with big money, they know their equity is down there, liquidity is down there, sorry. So they're going to come back and get it, right? If you've got enough money to move the market, you can bring it back down here. This is nothing. This is a nothing move, right? Look, 12% is a nothing move for Bitcoin. Like 40% move is a normal move, right? Like a 200% move is a big move. And we see that in Bitcoin all the time. If you haven't seen it in Bitcoin before, right, or you think it doesn't exist, what's 65, let's just say 60, divided by 5, right? It's 12. Oh, look, where was it? 2018 at 12, and it was at 15 in 2022. So 100%, you know, this is like 500%. It went up 500%. So going back 100% from 500 is a 20%. It's only 20% retracement. 20%, that's it. So you've got to look relative to the price where it started, and it started at 15. So let's add 20% on that. It's 30, 45, and 60, right? So you've got to think, well, actually, sorry, it's between there, it's 45. So 45, 10% is 4.5, right? 20% will be 9. So we're coming down 63 to say 57, 56 area, somewhere around the 50s, right? I'm not being precise. I'm just being roughly. So around here, we would expect, look, you can see my alerts on there as well. That around here, we would expect some form of retracement where we're looking at. So this movement here that we're talking about is a nothing move, right? It's an absolute nothing move. And we've seen a spike here. So with that said, I hope you've got something out of this one video, right? Please give me the time to give me a like, you know, that's all I'm asking for. Otherwise, if you like this video, then give it a like, comment, and whatever. I tried to make it short. I did try to make it short, but the market was too interesting, so I had to make it long. I will see you in the next video because I'm going to end it now. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.